A garbage truck driver glances at a bin for maybe half a second before deciding exactly how to handle it. No hesitation, no second look. That half second isn't luck, and it isn't written on any route sheet. There's an entire mental map layered on top of the official route, built stop by stop over years. One that knows which driveway turns to black ice, which bin might be hiding something dangerous, which dog treats a diesel engine as a personal insult. And none of it exists on paper anywhere. If you think a route sheet is basically the whole job, wait until you see what veteran collectors are actually reading in the half second before they touch a bin, because a rattle, a smell, or the way weight shifts inside a container can be the difference between a routine stop and a genuinely dangerous one. Why does an experienced collector see a bin as a small puzzle instead of just a container to empty? What kinds of hidden hazards does a route sheet have no way of ever warning a crew about? And why do experienced crews consistently have lower incident rates than new ones running the exact same routes with the exact same trucks? Every waste collection route in the world starts with a piece of paper or a tablet screen. Addresses, stop counts, bin locations, estimated times between pickups. On paper, that route sheet looks like the whole job. Follow the list, empty the bins, drive to the next one, repeat until the truck is full or the shift is over. But anyone who has spent even a single week riding along with an experienced crew knows that the route sheet is closer to a rough outline than an actual instruction manual. The real job lives in the gap between what the paper says and what the street actually looks like that morning. And veteran drivers fill that gap with a kind of knowledge that takes years to build and almost no time at all to lose if you get careless. Start with the bins themselves, because this is where the difference between a rookie and a veteran becomes obvious almost immediately. A new hire sees a bin as a container that needs to be emptied. An experienced collector sees a bin as a small puzzle that tells its own story before it is ever touched. The weight distribution when it is tipped, the sound it makes when it shifts, even the smell drifting up from the lid, all of that gets processed almost instantly by someone who has handled thousands of these things. A bin that is too heavy on one side might be hiding something dense and awkward near the bottom, maybe construction debris or a chunk of concrete that someone decided technically counts as household waste. A bin that smells sharply chemical rather than simply rotten is a signal to slow down before it goes anywhere near the compaction blade. None of that is printed anywhere. It is pattern recognition built entirely from repetition, and it is one of the biggest reasons experienced crews move faster and safer than new ones, even though they are following the exact same route sheet. Then there is the matter of what people actually put in their bins, which is a far messier problem than most outsiders assume. Aerosol cans, car batteries, paint thinner, propane cylinders that someone assumed were empty, none of these belong in a residential waste stream, and none of them show up as a warning on any route sheet because the sheet cannot possibly know what is inside a container it has never opened. Veteran collectors develop an instinct for spotting the telltale signs before compaction even begins. A rattle that sounds wrong, a container shape that does not belong, a faint chemical odor that has nothing to do with normal household trash. This is not paranoia. Waste and recycling collection is consistently ranked among the most dangerous occupations in the country when measured by fatality rate. And while most of that risk comes from traffic and vehicle-related incidents rather than exploding aerosol cans, the broader point stands. This is a job where paying close attention to small details is not optional, it is survival. And that attention is exactly what separates someone who has been doing this for 15 years from someone on their second week. The route sheet also cannot tell you about the dog 3 houses down that has learned the exact sound of a diesel engine idling and treats it as a personal insult, or the family with young kids who tend to leave bikes and toys scattered right where the truck needs to swing wide, or the particular driveway that turns into a sheet of black ice the moment the temperature drops below freezing, long before anyone official notices and salts it. Veteran drivers carry an entire mental map layered on top of the official one, built stop by stop, season by season, sometimes over the course of a decade or more on the same route. New drivers get the address. Veteran drivers get the address plus a small library of context that makes the difference between a smooth stop and a genuinely dangerous one. Timing is another piece of the puzzle that never makes it onto paper. A compaction cycle looks simple from the outside. Load the hopper, trigger the blade, let it sweep the waste into the body of the truck. Repeat. But experienced operators learn the specific rhythm of their own machine, the subtle sound and feel that tells them when a load is packing cleanly versus when something is jamming or bridging inside the body in a way that will cause problems 3 stops later if it is ignored now. They learn when to let a cycle run a touch longer and when to cut it short, when the hydraulic system sounds like it is working exactly as it should, and when a slightly different pitch means a hose or a seal needs attention before the shift is over, rather than after something fails on a hot afternoon in the middle of a route. That kind of mechanical sympathy is not something a training manual can fully transmit. It has to be felt, stop after stop, truck after truck, until it becomes almost unconscious. Weather changes everything about a route, and again, the sheet stays exactly the same no matter what the sky is doing. A summer morning that starts pleasant can turn brutal by midday, especially for a crew working in direct sun next to a hot engine and an even hotter hydraulic system. And veterans know to front-load the heaviest or most physically demanding stops early, before fatigue and heat really set in. Winter brings its own entirely different set of unwritten rules: black ice on shaded driveways, bins frozen solid to icy pavement, gloves that need to come off periodically despite the cold because frozen leather grips are worse than bare hands for a few crucial seconds. None of this shows up as a note next to an address. It shows up as judgment, earned the hard way, one bad morning at a time. There is also a social layer to the job that almost never gets discussed outside the industry itself. Veteran collectors often know which households leave a little extra care behind: a bag taped shut so it will not spill, a note taped to a bin about something fragile inside, or on the flip side, which households consistently overload their containers or leave hazardous items without warning. Over years on the same route, a kind of quiet relationship forms between the crew and the neighborhood, even if most residents never actually speak to the person collecting their trash. Experienced drivers read that relationship the way a mail carrier reads a route, picking up on small signals that tell them what to expect before they even arrive. None of this means the route sheet is useless. It absolutely is not. It provides structure, sequencing, and the basic logistics that make a shift possible at all. But it is a skeleton, not the whole body. What actually keeps a collection crew safe, efficient, and moving through hundreds of stops in a single shift is the accumulated judgment sitting quietly behind the wheel and standing on the step at the back of the truck. Judgment that took years to build and that no software update has managed to fully replace, despite plenty of attempts by companies eager to optimize routes down to the second. Industry data has shown that experienced crews consistently manage lower incident rates and steadier throughput than newly assembled ones running the exact same routes with the exact same equipment, which is about as clear a signal as you can get that the missing variable is not the truck, the route, or the schedule, but the person who has learned to read all three at once. That is the part of the job that never makes it into a training video or a dispatch printout, and it is exactly why the veterans on any crew tend to be the ones the newer hires quietly watch and copy without even being told to. So the next time a garbage truck idles outside your house a little longer than you expect, or the crew handles one particular bin with visibly more care than the others, understand that you are watching a decision get made in real time, based on information that exists nowhere on paper. The route sheet tells a driver where to go. Everything that actually keeps that driver, the crew, and the neighborhood safe along the way lives somewhere else entirely, carried quietly from one shift to the next by the people who have simply been doing this long enough to know.